Call the meeting to order. Can we get a roll call?
Sure. Okay, let's see. Commissioner Alonso.
Present.
Commissioner Salona is absent. Commissioner Grace. Here. Commissioner Losey.
Yeah.
And Commissioner Schrein is absent.
On the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Move to approve. Second.
Second, approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so approved.
Yes.
Project updates?
The first update is the wastewater treatment facility. I put numerous documents in your package. The first is the monthly invoice at the wastewater facility for $1.6 million. So we did $1.6 million worth of upgrades at the facility last month, and that's done by Viola. The next one is the actual invoice, the schedule of invoice. We've spent $38,600,000 to date out of the $60 million in construction that is ongoing. The next one is just the application for payments. Again, the $68 million, we've spent about 38.6. And then the progress meetings from last month. The major construction is the aeration train, the grit pumps they're working on, and then we're doing pump station improvements. Camden and Washington Street are the two main pump stations we're working on. And then there's other pump stations that need work that is targeted for later in March. Hanson, Blossom, Hollis, all the other pump stations will follow those. We have a purchase order. We have procurement orders, change orders, and allowances in your package. The HVAC modifications we're discussing with the state relative to some improvements and upgrades they want, along with the air permitting. We have a meeting next week with the DEP on the air permitting. So there are some improvements that they may require that will be significant. So we're working on those items. And then you have the 3-month, the look ahead from Nickerson in your package. And then just rather detailed. But if you had any questions on it, it's a lot of information. But all in all, things are going fairly well. We expect everything to be on budget, and we won't have to worry about any capital improvements or any upgrades to the facility for the next 40 to 60. Well, we're in the 40 year of the plant, so for the next 20 years, from year 40 to year 60, we'll be in compliance with all regulations. So it was needed. It's a lot of money, but things are going pretty well. And it appears as though we won't. This is all through the state SRF loan. So it's a 2.4% interest loan. So it looks like we won't actually have to begin paying debt service until sometime in the future. But again, this isn't ARPA free money. This is money that we borrowed through the state, the DEP SRF program at 2.4% interest. So that's coming, but it's just not on the horizon yet.
So any ARPA money is not here listed yet?
No, not for this. ARPA's for water mains later on the agenda.
Thank you.
This is money we have to borrow, unfortunately, to keep the plant up to speed. So that's all I have.
When do we find out when that interest will start?
Well, we're working with them now. There was talk of maybe splitting the 70 mil and 235 mil packages, but they usually go to the bond market, I think, in November, and it didn't go last November. So if it goes November 24, maybe the first payment will be January or July of 25-ish.
If I had to guess, it would be July 2025, but that'd be a pure guess at this stage of the game.
Yeah, because we'll go to the bond market in November of 24, and then likely we wouldn't make the January 25, it would be July of 25. And it might only be interest the first year, but it's not free money.
Probably be interest the first one and then the principal. Nevertheless, they still have to allow us to budget, for the upcoming payments. So they wouldn't just say, all right, in 6 months your first interest payment's due. It just wouldn't. They understand how the commissions work, the towns work. So that's why I'm thinking if I had to guess, it would be July 2025.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all I have. Water treatment plant for Rick Dock?
Yeah, water treatment place?
Mr. Commissioner, the Water and Sewer Commission is in compliance with all federal and state drinking water regulations. The water supply capacity as of yesterday was at 85%. The average for this time of year is 77%. 9 of the 10 contract full-time positions at the water treatment plant are currently filled. There is 1 open operator position. But Veolia has hired a mechanic for the 10th position, and he's currently working. But in order for them to be technically at full staff, they would require the current mechanic who has a grade 2 operator's license to obtain his grade 3 operator's license so that he could slide into the operator position. He has passed his preparatory class for the test, he just has to take the test and pass it, and then they will be fully staffed, as per our spec.
Any questions on that? Good.
Thank you.
And the CSO update?
Thank you, Anthony. Anthony?
So phase 1 and phase 2, the commission's contract, the PGOs and Son has completed that contract work. Phase 1 being pipe work, and phase 2 being the force main outfall pipe, and that work is completed. Phase 3 is our stormwater pump station, 96 million gallon stormwater pump station at McManus Field. McLuhan Construction continued work on the electrical building, interior, electrical and HVAC, equipment installation, began installation of support forms, rebar for the valve vault, elevated beams in the top slab, installed the elevated transformer pad, oil containment structure, and began installation of support forms, rebar for the excavated transformer pad. The micro tunnel contract, a super excavator, completed mobilization and set up equipment for launching the receiving pits, one being on Commercial Street in front of where the pump station is located, and the other being in front of the DPW yard. That work, the tunneling, commenced work on Commercial Street. They did that starting out on the 13th of January. It's a 72-inch casting pipe, and they did that tunneling, and that was completed on 1/27/24. So the casting of that part of the force main and the tunneling has been completed. Phase 4 and 5 is also pipe work, and that's being done by Gioso and Son. They've completed the majority of the test pits and all the insertion valves for the water replacement. The contractor continued mainline sewer and drain pipe installation on Summer Street and Oakville Street. The mainline sewer and drain pipe installation began on Elmwood Ave and Pleasant Street. Contractor is currently in the process of submitting product material and data review and looking for approval for that. And that project is approximately 9% complete. Just to go back for a second to the pump station is about 80% complete. So the CSO project is moving forward on schedule, and that's the update.
Any questions for Anthony? Okay, moving on to the Kings Beach update.
So Eric Kelly's in attendance from Environmental Partners. He can give you an update. We have the monthly report as well in your package, the 3-page monthly report. In addition, at the December meeting, we got permission from the board to go ahead with the televising of the remaining 21 miles of storm drain system that's tributary to Kings Beach, and the bid tabs in the package. It came in a little higher, unfortunately, than we expected. It came in at $1.14 million from our BMC Corporation, but we met with them, and they were intending to start the day after President's Day, the 20th, with the TV and cleaning. And after this, in addition to the 6 miles we did on our own, we'll have 27 miles of storm drain system. Inland, tributary to Kings Beach, would have it cleaned and inspected. And if there's any wastewater connections we find, we have a crew out there to take them out immediately. If it's more complicated than that, we can get an emergency contract with a contractor if need be. But after this, and the plan is to get this done by Memorial Day. After this, we will have, again, TV'd, and if we have to test for surfactants, ammonia, we'll do that as well. So I think we did take out 3 service connections. One of the residents was discharging 40 gallons a day to the system. So whether that is closing the beach by the time it gets 2 miles downstream, but we did take out those connections. But we haven't found any smoking guns that we say, that's terribly bad, we gotta get it out immediately.
Yeah.
So after this, hopefully we'll progress. But Swampscott has their 600 or 700 acres that remains discharged to their culvert. And the EPA, sort of sent them recently a nasty letter relative to their system, so. We're not perfect, but we're doing well.
Does that hold us up at all with them having the problems? Or-
Well, it doesn't hold us, the commission up, but it's gonna hold up the
Yeah.
quality of the beach if they have problems. They performed some of their work in phase 1, and the EPA said it really wasn't acceptable, and then they're doing a phase 2, which is another area.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure in the acres, but if they did 20 acres and now they do another 20 acres, they haven't started the second 20 acres
Yeah.
that discharges to the beach. So we're significantly ahead of them, but we'll continue to look for services, look for problems within our system that's affecting the beach, but we really haven't found anything glaring yet. Erica, Anthony, you guys,
I think that's, like Dan said, we're gonna get started next week. The goal is to work from the outer portions of the watershed towards the big trunk lines, Old Stacy Brook and Eastern Ave. So basically about 80% of the city's drain is, smaller diameter pipes, so that's where the focus is gonna be to start, so we can make better progress. We have specific provisions in the contract for certain areas to get done at night, just because production and traffic management is gonna be the bigger issue on those. We're hoping, if it makes sense, next week and in the spring when we have work around the schools, to do it during the school vacation weeks, just to kind of be there when there's not a lot of student traffic and bus traffic. But otherwise, they've got the crews ready to mobilize. We're going to start with a single crew, and then as we need to go and we need to pick up production, we'll add a second TV crew. We're going to be tracking them on a daily basis using GIS and dashboarding how the progress is going, and be able to map out where any major defects are that need attention, or if we find direct connections that need follow-up. So we have a team ready to go to do follow-up screening as the information's coming in. So we'll be doing a mixture of CCTV and field screening as we go towards Memorial Day.
Question, Dan, how do we communicate this with the residents, and what was the reaction so far? Like every time we post all of their addresses to their,
how do we communicate with the residents?
yeah. Did they get a letter from us saying we're going to test your
Oh, dye
sanitary
test?
bathroom? Yeah,
Oh, yes.
they do.
Yeah, we either knock on the door or we provide a
So we
letter.
knock on the door.
Yeah, because we have to get into the home to dye test it.
Right.
To see that it's not see that it's in the sewer and not in the storm drain.
So far, everybody's
Yeah, it's not.
okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult sometimes because we do it during the day and people are working, but they've certainly been cooperative. It just the timing isn't the greatest.
Right. Okay.
Like no one says go away, you're not coming in.
So we just go knock on the door and do
I
it.
think we provide them a letter if in fact we're not successful.
Okay.
But if we find like if we found a bad reading on Smith Street, we would notify the 10 houses on Smith Street.
That would be my next question.
Yeah, like we would have to get in there, so
Right.
if, we get into 8 homes, then we gotta send letters and
Correct.
maybe, a little stronger language, but.
Thank you.
I'm just sort of wondering if we could maybe think through some sort of like measurement system. So we're doing all this great work, and we're gonna go in CCTV, and then we're gonna do any remediation work as we find it. Is there some sort of metric that we could use to show before and after? We talked a little about Swampscott, and maybe their contribution to what's happening down there in Stacy's Brook. Is there anything that, we don't have to answer it tonight, but just thinking through it, any sort of measurements we could take that would show the progress, or at least show that on the Lynn side, we think we've remediated this much?
So we're tracking it based on the usage of the properties that get disconnected. So as far as like we looked at, like in the case of the 3 that have already been disconnected, we looked at their previous year's water use, billed water usage, to assume that, high percentage of that is going down the sewer. So that is tracking at the individual property level. At the watershed level, it's really going to come down to repeat sampling to find that what was dirty has been remediated and now is getting clean samples, but that's going to be on a kind of on a case-by-case basis. When we've been doing work closer down towards the outfall, we have collected samples at the outfall on the day we're screening just to get an idea of what's leaving the system while we're doing work. So as we clean and everything, we'll be tracking the CCTV lengths, progress by number of pipes, length of pipe, material removed. If we encounter any suspect things, that's when the field crews will get sent back out to follow up on that. So it's kind of going to be running in parallel for the next 3.5 months, is running the inspection program, hopefully using that to identify the suspect connections. And then the follow-up work would be field screening to confirm there's something. And in the case where it's an obvious illicit connection, then that's coordinating through the commission to get it dye tested to confirm it, and then it gets removed, gets put on the list for removal, which is how the first 3 were encountered. Those were found through TV inspection, not after following screening that showed something was going on in that area.
Okay, no, that's helpful. And you said there was one more disconnection?
No, we had those 3. We haven't had we have a list in the packet that's all the ones, predominantly that's a small subcatchment of Flax Pond where the commission's still working to get property access to complete some dye testing.
Okay, but it looks like all these dye tests came back okay.
The ones that of the more recent ones, dye tests have been confirmed to sanitary sewer, not to storm drain. So.
Okay, perfect. Just one quick question. Did we only get one response for the RFP?
Yep.
Yes. And when the price was higher, we were thinking about rebidding it, but we sort of wanted to wrap this up prior to the beach season. So we're the schedule's awful difficult now, it's 70 days. So if we went out to bid again, who knows if the low bid is gonna be interested, who knows if the other 2 or 3 guys would be interested. So in order to wrap it up by Memorial Day, we decided to move forward.
All right, no, I appreciate that. And then regarding the reimbursement for the funds, when would we have to pay this contractor? I know that we're waiting for money from the state.
He's going to submit monthly invoices.
Okay.
We've been working with Mike Bertino with the city to try to start getting some of these funds. I think we have to, ramp it up a little bit, because when the contractor is going to spend $1.15 million over the next 70 days, and he submits monthly invoices, so we're going to need $200,000-300,000 a month, and we've been working on it. We just have to be a little more diligent.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions on the Kings Beach update? Business?
So Ryan's here. Ryan, you want to handle the distribution?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of the financial statements, everything? Good. No one's going to jail.
Commissioners, in your package was the finally completed FY 2023 audited financial statements. Chris Pelland is here from Witham, which is the accounting firm that performed our audit, and Chris is here for his annual presentation and any questions or conversation that you may have on the recent audit.
Thanks, Ryan. Yes, my name is Chris Pelland. I'm a partner from Witham Smith & Brown. Every year, our standards require us to present certain information to those in charge of governance, so I'm here to present that information to you today. And there is, in that packet is what I'll be presenting. The first thing I'm going to go through is our responsibilities. Our responsibility as auditors is we issue 2 reports. One is
Which packet are we looking at?
it's this. Do it. I'm sure you have a copy of it.
Yeah.
Our responsibility as your auditors is issue 2 reports. The first is on the financial statements themselves, which we give an opinion, and the second is on your internal controls. So the first one on your financial statements, we do this based on a test basis, which gives reasonable but not absolute assurance that the basic statements are free of material misstatements. On that, we gave a unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion, which is the opinion you want. On the internal controls, for internal controls, we have to assess them. We do certain things like look at your receipts, disbursements, payroll processes. We talk with those who do the processes, and we then come up with any recommendations. We did have one material weakness on that, which is the same as we've had the last few years, relates to the system that went down in 2001, the county system. Ryan has done an admirable job of keeping up and keeping good records even with that system being down. But really, the accounting system is imperative to internal controls. I know we've discussed it prior to the meeting that when it's selected, Munis, which is I believe the same that the city uses, Lynn, uses, but it's just been a slow, but I think it's process getting it implemented. But I believe we're close, very close. But because it has been down, it leads to he had to do everything in Excel, which is automatically increases our risk due to just human error. It leads to slower reporting, at times potentially less accurate reporting, and potentially audit adjustments at year end. So that is, we do a recommendation to get that system up as soon as possible. As I said, it's been just similar to what we had last year. And then when we look at the adjustments we had, you'll see some of what we found related to that. On the next page, it discusses that we have to communicate, which is what I'm doing with you right now. And then there is required supplementary information included in the statements related to the pension and OPEB, and we do limited procedures on those. The next page discusses independence. As your auditors, we are required to be independent. We are independent. We do assist Ryan and the team with certain functions that include we prepare the financial statements. We also help in posting items related to GASB 62, your long-term debt, your pension, and your OPEB. Similar to what we've done in the past, these activities do not impair our independence, and Ryan receives everything, he reviews everything to make sure it's correct. Next page discusses management's responsibility. The first thing this year, there was a new GASB 96 was adopted. This relates to software costs, and if you had software that had a long-term agreement that was material, an asset and a liability would be included in your balance sheet. There were none. The commission either owns the software that you use, or it's a 1 year or less agreement. So neither of those had to be put on, so there's no impact to the financial statements. Also, as part of any audit, there is some sort of level of estimate for the commission. It allows for doubtful accounts, depreciation, your pension, your OPEB liabilities are included in those. There is no significant transactions other than those related to the debt. You did incur some new interim loans related to the sewer overflow project, and then you also moved some debt, some of the interim into long-term debt. No transactions related to authoritative guidance, and all significant transactions were recorded in the correct proper period. There was no disagreements with management, no major issues encountered when prior to retention, no difficulties in performing the audit, and no other findings that we deemed relevant to present to you. We did an engagement letter at the beginning of the audit, and there's a manager representation letter prior to completing the audit. And next, we discussed our adjustments. And as I mentioned, with the accounting system, there were some things that we discovered. The first was there was some accounts payable, which related to invoices received later related to the water treatment plant for $465,000. There was unbilled water and sewer receivables of $100,000, some receivables related to Nahant and Saugus, and depreciation expense. There's also one uncorrected adjustment related to the difference between the cash rec and the pay statement for $22,000. Next, we'll discuss fraud. We're not engaged to find fraud, but if we do come across fraud as part of the audit, we would bring it to your attention. And since you have not heard of it from us yet, there is no fraud found as part of the financial statement audit. That's all I have to present to you. I don't know if you would like me to go through the financial statements at a high level, or if you had a chance to look at them and have any questions for me, please let me know.
I have a question.
Yes.
How often are we getting audited by this? Once a year?
Once a year.
Once a year. Is this how long your organization has audited?
And with them, this is our first year because we merged with O'Connor and Drew. O'Connor and Drew,
That was the prior one.
that was the prior firm, and that was 5 years before that.
5 years before that.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have access of their audit from previous organizations as well?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions, or? Okay, we'll move on to ARPA.
So just a quick update on the APA water main improvements. Again, we got 6.5 million in APA money. The first document is just CDM's design of the system so far and through the first 3 months. And then the map, I provided the plan of the locations as well as the specifications with the invitation to bid. And the streets that are going to receive the new water lines are listed in the second paragraph there on page 1 of your invitation to bid. Again, the streets will be getting a new water main, new hydrants, new valves, new services to the shut-off, a newly paved road. It's a great thing for the system and for our water supply. And then lastly is the dates of the schedule. So it looks like, later this spring, we'll be moving forward with this work. And we'll come back to you sometime in March for an approval to award the contract to the lowest responsible bidder. And this is all good stuff. This money seems to be going a little smoother. It's a different part of ARPA money, so we're doing better with this money than we are with the 2021 Appropriations Act money, which we're having a hard time getting it on the Kings Beach side. But this money is a smoother process.
When are we going to, what's the deadline for us to use this money?
I think it's 26.
Most of ARPA is 26. So this is separate from the city ARPA, or is this part of
No, this is the city ARPA.
26?
Yeah, we applied, we got 2 different grants altogether
Right.
for 6.5 million. And we just based the water mains on undersized, low fire flow, low pressure, any complaints, so we just improved the system. We had a 4-inch or 2-inch main, we're putting a brand new 8-inch main, it'll be great stuff.
So after this is all said and done, like the hydrant problem they had on Broadway, back when they had the fire,
Yeah.
will improve these circumstances we had?
Yeah, for these locations, yes.
Yeah.
And we replace water mains with our CSO program whenever we can.
Yeah.
But that's ineligible. That's coming out of our pocket for cash.
Yeah.
It's not part of the loan, so, Anthony does a great job figuring out what has to be done, and we do most of them, or pretty much all of them. But that's coming out of cash. This is ARPA money, so it's all good.
Good.
But we have 200 miles of water main, so there are going to be some locations where you might have a 50 or 100-year-old main. We don't have old urban cities, just don't all have new water mains.
Pretty
But
extensive.
things good.
Yeah.
Everything's good. The date's in there. We'll come back in March with a contract and we'll get going.
Any new business?
Can I, if it's okay if I know who are the personalities here?
Sure.
Because I have no clue on, it's my first meeting, so.
Sure.
And why you guys are here?
Ryan Boyzel's the treasurer. Chris is the auditor who just gave us a glowing report. Sam Vitale, Sam?
Skip that one.
Ricky Daw, water supply superintendent.
I think I'm a reporter.
He's with the item, we don't know
All from Lynn Community.
Consultant.
He's our CSO consultant, and he's our Kings Beach consultant.
Oh, perfect. Nice to meet you. I have no more questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Or requests.
Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned?
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.